Hi, my name is Chris Feldmeyer. I am executive chef of Love and Salt in Manhattan Beach. I am cooking Pici Pasta with a short rib ragu. Really like this pasta because I feel like it's very easy to make at home. It's very minimal ingredients. It is actually a pasta that is not made with egg. It's only made with flour and water. Starting with the pasta itself, equal portions of the semolina flour in either the 00 or AP flour, which we then mix together in a bowl, pour it into the center of a cutting board, make a well like a volcano. If you don't have an area to contain the water itself, then you're gonna lose all your water and then you're gonna have to remeasure. I mean, that's what you do. Slowly add and incorporate with the fork, bringing it in, making sure not to add all the water at one time. If you add too much, you can't take it away. Once our pasta water has all been incorporated, we then start to knead the pasta with our hands until it's become almost rubbery in nature. We'll take your thumb, you can press it in there. It'll still have some give, but then it'll bounce back and spring back a little bit. Once we have gotten it to a point where it is springing back, we refrigerate at least half an hour. We then remove it, put it back onto the cutting board and knead again for an additional 10 to 15 minutes. It should totally change the texture. All the semolina should be absorbed in there. It should not feel granular at all. It should feel very, very soft and still have the same amount of give. The shape of the pasta itself and how to form it is you just simply cut the pasta into tablespoon-sized portions. It doesn't really matter about the shape because this is a beautiful hand artisan product that you're making. So you kind of don't want it to be perfect. You don't want it to be uniform. You want it to kind of be different sizes, different shapes. You want it to have different textures. You don't want to obsess about everything being a perfect, even tube all the way through. That is not what this dish is all about. The thicker the Pici pasta, the longer it will take to cook. What I'm doing would be a 4-minute pasta inside the boiling water. So you've got to kind of gauge that as well. And the best way to do that is test by eating. Okay. Before we make our sauce today, we're going to make Sofrito. Sofrito is very much the same thing as an Italian mirepoix. It is carrots, onion, and celery. There is a ratio for Sofrito that I use, which is 50% onion, 25% carrot, and 25% celery. It's a very simple process that you can do at home if you have a Cuisinart or Roku. Chop very fine until all three things are combined. From there we take it, we put it into a cold pan, turn the heat on, slowly bring that up to a simmer where we're going to cook out all the liquid. Once we have it boiling, we add our olive oil and some salt to it, then slowly cook until all of the liquid is out of it. You can do this on very high heat, but you have to watch it because you do not want this to stick to the pan. You cannot take that burnt flavor out of it once it has burned. You can see as you move the Sofrito away, you'll see water rushing to it. If there's water still rushing to it, then it is definitely not going to be done. So once the water has reduced all the way out, either turn it down and cook it for a very long period of time, or you can keep it on high heat and stand on top of it and just keep it stirring until it starts to caramelize into a beautiful golden carrot brown. So now that our Sofrito is ready, we are going to add this back to the Cuisinart, add our garlic and puree them, and then start making our short rib ragu. First thing we do with our short rib is seasoned and ready. Turn on our pan on high heat. We add our olive oil to the pan. We are going to just let the short rib sit and try and get as much as a sear on it as we possibly can. Once we have them starting to sear and you see the liquid start to cook out of the beef, we then add our bay leaf, rosemary, thyme, which is tied together. I think it's very important to tie your herbs together. You don't want to spend the rest of your time picking out tiny little stems of thyme and rosemary out of there. Rather than if you tie them together, you can just grab the one big thing and discard. And we just cook until all of the juice has been reduced out of the short rib. The reason why I feel that is important is if you drain that off, you're basically taking all your beef flavor and just throwing it away. Once all the liquid is cooked out, as you can see there's oil here on the bottom, you don't see a lot of liquid in there anymore, all that is starting to stick, the meat has kind of a shiny glazed texture to it. We then add our tomato paste to the center, mixing and trying to caramelize the tomato paste as much as possible. It just adds a little extra sweetness and sugar to it if you take the extra time to caramelize it. You then add our Sofrito. Once it is covering the meat, combined, all the cubes, you then add our red wine to deglaze. You just want to take it to the point where the sofrito is then again sticking to the bottom of the pan. Once that happens, you can add your stock to it and let it simmer. So now that our ragu is ready, we take out our herbs. You are ready to boil your pasta. You want your pasta water to be a little saltier than the ocean, is what I like to tell my cooks. This pasta itself, the one we rolled out today, takes about 4 minutes in the water. I also have a rule that you never drop your pasta in the water until your sauce is ready to go. Always setting a timer because you can forget about things very, very easily. If you ever have any questions on whether your pasta is done, do not feel bad reaching in and grabbing a strand out, pulling it out, cooling it, and then tasting the texture. It's not a problem, it's not going to vary. But I would start doing that at about 4 minutes with the shape that I have. Once that 4 minutes is done, I add the pasta to the actual ragu, trying to cook for an additional 2 minutes in there. That does a couple of different things. That obviously cooks the starch out of the pasta and helps thicken up your sauce naturally, and it also stains the noodle. What you're doing when you're boiling pasta water is infusing it with water. If you're able to infuse that with your actual ragu and stock, it just flavors it all the way through. Once you're at a nice consistency that you're available, you add your olive oil, sliced parsley, and Parmesan cheese to finish, and there you are. If you've never had this dish before, it should taste very, very beefy, a little bit of gamey flavor. It should have some red wine. It should be a little sweet from the sofrito and have a little bit of acid from the red wine. The Parmesan cheese should mellow all those things out and kind of balance the dish together. Really hope you try making this pasta at home. It's very simple. I think your family and your kids will love it.